All right, let's do a quick mic check. So, mic check. Wait, I was muted. Okay, alrighty. Hello. Hello. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's having a great day today. Nice Sunday. Computer, please do what you're told. Hopefully no storms today, so no power outages today. Fingers crossed. All right, just need to get my palette out. So, for anyone watching the replay, I just want to make a little announcement, which I've made before. I have a workshop. You can see the No Fear Painting workshop. I have a workshop happening in June. It is a 4-week online workshop. The goal of the workshop is to help people paint more expressively as they'd like, and to not fear making mistakes and the process of painting. And I have exercises and homework designed to help with that, plus some tools to help you get back on track, because things will go off the rails, and that's fine. That's kind of the point. But yeah, that's the goal. It is $220, which is a very reasonable amount, I think. All things considered. We're doing it through Sparrow Art Center. I've worked with Cody there to set this up. Some of his students are going to be participating, and yeah. There should be links in the description. Check it out. See, see if you like it. Anyways, other than that, today I'm going to be working on this painting, hopefully bringing it to like 90% of the way finished. All right. It is, I might have to oil it out some more. Yeah, gonna have to, that paint or oil? Oil. All right. And to start off, let's get a cat to start off. Let's get a cat in here. Winnie. Come on, Winnie. Come on, little girl. Cat incoming. Just a second. Ah, yeah, little girl. Oh, you don't really like being picked up that much, but you're such a little sweetheart. And you're so fluffy. Yeah. People want to see your pretty face. Such a pretty girl. Oh, come on. Come on. I know, I know. Just another second. Okay, okay. Okay. Kitty, yeah. Uh, Concordant Angels, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Kitty. I have 3 cats, and they do show up sometimes on stream. Here. Oh, she hates being picked up though, unfortunately. Yeah, isn't that right, Winnie? Oh, you're doing so good. We have to get her used to it though. It's me from. Oh, hey, welcome. Good to see you. I'm bad with names, so I apologize. Um, yeah, I'm really horrible with names. I'm dyslexic, and written names just do not do me. Your very first cat's name was Winnie? Ah, that's cute. Oh, Michelle's in the other chat. Sorry I didn't see that, Michelle. Win-win. You want to see Dresden? You're looking at Dresden. He's in your room. Yeah. Michelle's my partner. She's in chat as well. I'm streaming on YouTube and on Twitch, so I have 2 chats going on at the same time. I've said this before. Twitch's chat features and responsiveness way better than YouTube, but I stream at 4K on YouTube, so it's like, pick your poison. Generally speaking, if I have to prioritize a streaming service, I'll probably always prioritize YouTube, because of the higher quality. But I mean, generally, I don't have to prioritize either. I can just stream to both, so it's not a problem. Have you been, do you want Angel or do you want Concordant? What would you like me to call you? If I can remember Cassandra, that is fine, but Concordant is okay too. I'll try, no promises. You know, at least I'm honest, you know, at least I'm upfront about it. Feel free to remind me anytime though. I don't, what's it called? I don't take offense. I know it's my brain that's messed up. Alrighty. I'm great with faces and remembering if I have positive regard for someone. I'm good at faces. I'm good at remembering. How can I put this? Yeah, I'm good at faces. I think I'm pretty decent at remembering people, in general, but I don't remember. But it's like it's not cataloged as names. It's kind of like faces, facts, and interactions. And so if the person's not there, I have to try and like Michelle will always she'll tell me about someone and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. And she's like, this is the guy who did this that one time. And I'm like, oh, why didn't you just say that? And drives her nuts because yeah, it's I can see that being annoying. But yeah, that's how my brain remembers people and things a lot of times. Hey Des, good to see you. You're sweeping up the deck and organizing around here. Okay, good luck with that. Good to see you, Des. Glad you're here, even if you're sweeping up and doing all that stuff. All right, I forgot I didn't have my brushes out, so getting my brushes together. You know, Cassandra, I think I saw one of your pieces. I think you posted something, if I remember correctly. Unless I'm getting it confused with someone else, which I apologize if I am, which was really nice. But yeah, I don't, did I read correctly that you're getting back into art after a long hiatus? Um, was that right? Am I remembering correctly? And you don't have to, also don't feel obligated to share anything you don't feel comfortable sharing. This is a public forum, so anything you don't feel like sharing, you're not obligated to. I am 10 years. I got kicked out of art school uh, while I'm sharing. You're welcome to, absolutely. I'm just I'm just making I just want to make sure people are comfortable doing, with their interactions and not feeling obligation to do anything. Uh 10 years. Wow. All right. Um that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. That's amazing. I I encourage everybody to do art on my channel, and so I I'm so happy for you. I feel like people have way too much pressure on themselves to, like, if you can't be the best artist, quote unquote, whatever that means, right? But if you're not the best and you're not making a ton of money from it, why even bother? And people just don't. And I'm like, how about you do it because it's fun and good for your soul and mental health, and then worry about whether or not you end up making it into a career or not. All right. And so I encourage everyone to make art on my channel. Just do it. And so anytime I hear someone's getting back into it, I celebrate the fact. Because so many people stop doing it because, life, I get it. Life is, gets in the way. I do. I get that. Painting again feels like a huge void in my life is filled again. Oh, that's awesome. All right. CC Vinks looks great. Love you, man. Oh, thank you. My brain's being stupid. I'm not recognizing that username. I apologize. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm sorry that my brain is like spacing on that username. It does look great. She's glowing. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Right now I'm just doing some abstract stuff in the background that I may turn into a little like hidden Easter egg type of thing. So I'm not sure. But I haven't drawn or painted or done anything yet today. So I want to warm up. And this is a way for me to like just warm up a little with no real consequences to it, because like, you know, if I end up not putting these things in entirely, it's fine. It'll just be abstract, you know, background stuff. The background from the original photo is just like a gray wall, so there's really nothing in the background to, work with, which is fine. It's not not mandatory. But yeah, the light reflecting off of her hand is really, to me, what made this reference and isn't making this painting, which, it's funny because it's such a, in a way, minor thing, but that minor thing really makes the reference. Because I have one where she's doesn't have her hand up, and so there isn't that glow on her cheek. Um, yeah, it's a huge difference. Hopefully I can finish this painting today. That's the goal. Well, when I say finish, I mean stream finish. I always take a little bit of time after stream to work on it on my own. But yeah, that is the goal today. I thought I'd get it done on Thursday, but halfway through the stream, power went out, so I couldn't quite finish it. And then I had other things I had to take care of this week that were more pressing, so I couldn't work on it on my own time either. I know some professional painters who say that they only paint about um, 20 hours out of the week. And the rest of their time is spent doing other things related to like running their business, which I understand, but I'm also horrified by that thought. Like I hope I can when I you know when I finally transition into full-time painter, I hope I can paint more than 20 hours a week. Admin and stuff is really time consuming. It is really time consuming. I had to so my right now I work as a well not right now. I not when I'm not painting, I work as a storyboard artist for TV animation. And the project I'm working on, uh, well, the project isn't coming to an end, but there are things behind the scenes. So my working on it is coming to an end, which is very common. It's part of, very much in the norm of this type of jobs. The only job that continues forever in this is The Simpsons. Everybody else uh, is constantly jumping from one production to another. Um, so yeah, so I've been dealing with that whole thing because that's a whole, whole side of things, unfortunately. But ideally, it would be nice if I could transition into full-time oil painter. Um, Even with all the admin stuff, I'd still happily do all that admin stuff until I can pay someone to do it for me. You know what's really funny is I came out with my workshop. You can see the little below me, the little thing for the workshop. I swear to God, like 2 days after I put that out there, like five big name artists that I follow also put out a thing about their workshops happening roughly the same time. I was like, come on, are you kidding me? It was pretty funny. The timing just, yeah. Uh, and it says, I'd love to do that one day as well. I've heard one's day job called a corporate side hustle, and that amused me. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I might, like, how can I put this? I'm gonna have, I'm gonna be having some free time probably, for a while. So I'm actually gonna be pushing, uh, you know, the painting, career during that time and see what I can kind of make happen. Obviously, I've been pushing it for a couple of years now. Well, more than a couple of years, but I feel like my art has gotten to a place now where I feel very confident in making this a full-time thing. Like 5, 6 years ago, I wouldn't have felt confident with it. Now I do. Now it's the question of, can I figure out a way of making enough money to, make this full time while I look for another storyboarding gig. Because, like I said, that is very common in the industry. Everyone I know jumps around from production to production. It's not always a quick, like, uh, jump. A lot of times there's a lot of downtime between different productions and jobs. Cassandra says the confidence shows in your work. I really hope good things come your way. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I appreciate that very much. And like, okay, I'm going to put this out there. If you're very rich and you're someone like, let's say, person that comes to mind is Johnny Depp, because he literally paid to like sustain an artist for years with no, like, almost no expectation of return on things. If you want to be that patron, uh, hit me up. Just throwing that out there into the universe. But assuming that most people don't have that and can't do that, um, you know, being here in stream, following me on Instagram, uh, you know, subscribing to my YouTube channel, those things all help. So even if you have zero money, those are free things you can do to help. I'm not saying you, Cassandra, I'm just saying, like, I'm talking in general because people watch these videos after the fact on YouTube. So I'm just throwing it out there in general. But I appreciate all the support that people have given me, and people have given me a ton of support over the years. I would not be where I'm at today without literally the generosity of others. And I know that. So I appreciate it. I try to give back in ways when I can. That's why, like, right now, while I have a job, while I'm working and money, from, um, like, I'm making money from a corporate gig. Um, that's why right now, there's a feedback corner on my Discord that's absolutely free. Um, no one has to pay to get feedback. Um, I don't have a Patreon and none of that stuff because if I'm making money from something else, it's fine. The show, by the way, that I'm on right now, it's Crapopolis. It's on Fox. So if that's it's a comedy show, it's pretty funny. I highly recommend it. Uh, you know, if the show continues to be successful, there's a very good chance I'll be working with them again at some point. So definitely no ill will. It's been the best job I've ever had, and it is a really genuinely funny show. Hey, Des. No worries, Des. You don't feel obligated. I appreciate you being here. Des has been a fantastic supporter for quite a while, and she's been in and out a lot. Well, today she's been in and out a lot, but she's been here for a ton of streams, so I really appreciate that. Yeah, that was too much black on that. Yeah, the my workshop is called I'm calling it like the no fear painting, because one of the things that happened to me was a couple of years ago. I was working on a painting of Luke Skywalker, and at this point, I could paint I like pretty well as far as, or rather, more than pretty well digitally. Like I had really good, a lot of confidence in my digital painting skills. I'd already, I'd been working at that point, and I'd been in conventions and so on, but I could not get oil paints to do what I wanted them to do, and it was very frustrating. And there's a ton of reasons why. Like for a long time I was using the wrong brushes, and in my opinion I was also using the wrong paints, and just like a ton of things. But I do remember this painting where it all kind of felt like it turned around and it kind of clicked, and I could finally do a portrait. And there was one moment while working on it where I'd messed up the hair, and I knew that, like, really I couldn't fix what I'd messed up. I needed to, it was too, I mean, technically you probably could have, but I didn't feel like I could. And instead, it was a lot easier to just wipe it off and start that section of the hair over. And there was this weird, like, I don't want, like, debate internally of, like, should I do that or not? Because I didn't have the confidence that I would um, be able to get it back to where I needed it to be. But I remember just like hyping myself up, telling myself not to be afraid of it and to just go for it. And I do think that adopting that attitude, making that kind of my personal painting mantra, has really helped me and definitely helped with the confidence of everything. Um, so, and I know that's a problem that a lot of people struggle with, and it has nothing to do with skill, it has nothing to do with abilities, and in fact, it hinders all those things. So I just remember that moment very distinctly. And now we have an exciting guest. We have a Dresden. Dresden is my little orange boy. I have to hide my OBS though, because if he sees himself on screen in OBS, he's afraid of the cat living in my monitor, because he's seen himself there a few times, and now he's scared of the cat living in my monitor. Yeah, he's a special little boy. He is the sweetest little boy, and I love him so much, but he's not very bright. We'll say that. Aw, isn't that right, Dresden? Oh, you're such a sweetheart. You're such a floofy boy. Oh, look at that floof. Look at that floof. Floofy. Don't look at my monitor. There's no cat there. Don't worry about it. I know. I know. You're scared of the cat living in my monitor. I know. I wish I could have you on camera all the time. I'd get so much more views, especially when you roll on your back and you're showing your belly. What? I don't know why he likes to lick my beard, but he does. Why, Justin? Why? Yeah, Dresden, based off of Dresden, the wizard. And yeah, Dresden is not always the smartest either. That is for sure. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, little boy. That was lovely. Thank you. Here you go. Oh, gross. Yes, very gross. I feel like you get used to gross things when you have animals. It's just kind of built into the experience of taking care of them, you know? That is, relatively speaking, the grossest thing I've had to deal with. It's part of pet parenting for sure, yeah. I'm obsessed with Dresden. Yes, I am. He's my little boy. This is, I'm learning that. Wipe the nose and mouth out completely of the last piece I was working on. I said to myself, I'll just be able to redo it and it'll be much better. Absolutely. You can always redo it and it'll be better. And okay, here's the thing. You can always redo it. And if you know it's wrong, it's definitely going to be better. But even if you don't succeed in making it better, worst case, right? Worst case, you don't make it better. And you try a couple times and you still don't make it better. Oh well, next painting. 5 paintings from now, you're not even going to remember it, right? It's not going to be a problem. I have tons of paintings, you know, the more paintings you do, the less it matters, right? So, you know, if you do 2 paintings and one is good and one isn't, that's a big deal. If you do 50 paintings and one's not good, not as big of a deal anymore, is it? So just keep moving, paint more, paint more. That's like the thing. Okay, so everyone has moved over to Twitch chat for now, which is fine. Not a big, is absolutely fine. Party. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, eyes are bugging me. Oh, allergies. These are allergy eye drops. Henry Spy, welcome. How you doing? Good to see you. By the way, if anybody like subscribes or follows or does anything, I have no Twitch alerts that I can see. So I appreciate anybody who follows and all that. I don't get to see any of that stuff right now because I have too many things going on screen. So I don't have that set up. But I do appreciate it. We need some spiffy music. Everybody feel free to listen to whatever you like because I'm not playing any music on stream. I would play music on stream, but it becomes a problem with like copyright and all that, so it's just not worth it. So I just assume people are going to listen to music on their own. Listen to whatever you want. One day I'll put together a playlist or something so people can listen to the same thing I'm listening to, but yeah. Most people won't want to listen to what I'm listening to anyways. So it's not really a concern. Gregorian chants? No. Mostly just rock, hard rock, and metal. Like right now it's Soundgarden. Sometimes it's Tool, Perfect Circle, Slipknot, Korn, um, and some pop stuff mixed in, of course. All kinds of stuff. Sleep Token lately has been popular. I've enjoyed getting into Sleep Token. Yeah, there's some odd things here and there as well. But yeah, I forgot where I was. I was just talking. We were talking about painting and no fear, and then Dresden just completely sidetracked everything. I think I covered everything I wanted to say, though. How you doing, Henry Spine? Good to see you. What have you been up to? My listening habits correlate to my focus level. Stretching, gessoing, preparing material, cleaning, podcasts, casual, painting, and drawing, music for intense stuff. I have total silence. Interesting. Um, I like listening to books and podcasts and YouTube videos as well. Um, but I can't listen to spoken word stuff while trying to talk while I'm streaming. Like that's a level of multitasking I cannot do. Um, so instead I'm just I'm blasting, well not blasting, but I'm playing music while I paint and talk. Which is a level of multitasking I feel more comfortable doing. Yeah, I can't read what is it? Read and writing while having like spoken word things that I have to listen to is a little difficult. Sometimes if it's like very casual TV stuff, I can pull that off. I can also listen to multiple things um, going on at the same time that, are spoken word. I can sometimes do that if they're low effort, low concentration stuff. I try not to multitask as much as I have in the past because I've caught myself um, literally watching two things at the same time and trying to read something else at the same time, like doing it's like, I suspect I'm not being very efficient with all this. So I've tried to scale back a bit on the ridiculous multitasking. I will say when I'm painting at some point when I really, really get into it, which I don't think I can even do on stream, but when I'm like super focused on something, it really doesn't matter what's playing. If it's music, a pot, and it doesn't matter. I am not listening to any of it. It's just background noise at that point because I am so focused on what I'm doing that yeah. Uh, I think I'm not even sure if I'd even notice if someone was in the room with me when I'm like super focused. But that, like I said, that's not can't do that on stream. But I think heavy metal, rock music, like hard, helps me focus overall. Definitely helps me like with energy. Oh, I do. There is something I can talk about. I forgot. So I gave some feedback to some people in my Discord. And one of the things that I noticed was the size of the paintings. They were painting very small, and that was really hindering them. And so I do want to talk about that as a general. This is also a pretty small painting. This is an 8 by 10. And generally speaking, um, there's a sweet spot between large and small paintings where it's small enough to be quicker and faster and easier, and it's large enough to not like struggle with it because of the size. This is actually smaller than I generally than my general go-to. I think my sweet spot roughly is usually around 9 by 12. I find that's a really good size for a lot of things, but it depends. Depends how far back you are from the subject. There's all kinds of factors to consider. Um, Chelsea Lang says she tries not to do portraits that are smaller than her fist. And I think that's roughly a good thing. I mean, you can see this is larger. You want to keep it like about the size of your fist or larger. If you need inches, I'd say probably about 5-ish inches. And then you don't want to, well, it's not that you don't want to go past, uh, what's it called? Um, Actual size. You can, of course, go past actual size. A lot of people do. It just that brings in all kinds of other challenges. Um, but yeah, going too small can be very, very difficult. And especially if you're going for like actual likeness and not just like a general figurative thing. Because, if you're going for general figurative and the face isn't super important, that's okay. It's a little easier. You don't have to get all the details right. You don't have to put in all the details. It's a lot easier. But if you're doing a portrait, you don't want to go too small. You're making your life a lot harder. And then there's a few other things that add to that, which are um, this the surface that you're working on. If you go small, is becomes so much more important. If you're working small um, and you're painting on a rough surface, you are um, making your life so much harder, if not possibly impossible, being honest, because that rough texture is going to make, putting down marks, covering things, getting those details so hard. Like I said, possibly impossible. I don't like it. It's not worth it. The benefit isn't worth it. Also, the texture ends up being super distracting. Canvas texture on a painting, um, it can be great. It can actually really help smooth things out, ironically. But it really is case dependent. And painting on smoother surfaces is much better for smaller things. Having said that, it is worth noting that if you want to do very smooth paintings, and by smooth I mean like, let's say you're painting a ball, right? If you wanted to paint a ball and you wanted it to be a very smooth, no texture, just super smooth. You don't want a super smooth surface. You don't want a super rough one either. It needs to be just right. But a rougher surface on a larger painting, the surface kind of disappears, and it helps make it smoother. And the other thing is absorbency. If you're painting on a very non-absorbent surface, you get more brush marks, and making smoother looking things in your painting is going to be harder. I know it's a little counterintuitive because it's like you want to paint something smooth, grab a smooth surface. It's a little counterintuitive, but a non-absorbent surface actually can make it harder to do those things. I personally love working on non-absorbent surfaces because you put down marks and you get all these gorgeous brush marks and everything. But that's that's for me personally, right? Not every painting or painter wants that. And then also the other thing is when you're working, okay, this one's going to be a little, I don't want to say counterintuitive, but when working small, it's uh, actually, this is any size. It's a combination of you want to have brushes that are the right size. And when you're working small, you're going to need small brushes. However, you still need big brushes. So it is a mix. Um, Hold on, I'm getting a message. I want to make sure everything is okay. 1 second. Okay, that's none of those things are important. Okay. Sorry, I'm always nervous around certain things with messages while I'm streaming, so apologize about that. Just want to make sure everything is all right. Everything is fine. By the way, in case anybody forgot, it's Mother's Day today in America, so you know, quick reminder if you need to take care of that. But yeah, working with the right type of brushes, right type and sizes is very important. And I am actually demonstrating how using the wrong ones is making my life very difficult right now. Also, when you're working small, I just realized something people aren't aware of. So the consistency of your paint can make it much easier or harder to work with. Um, you know, if you thin your paint down, if you thin it down too much, it's going to cause problems, of course. But you need it thin enough so that you can get into those details. Because if it's too thick, uh, as the name implies, you're going to struggle to get small, fine details. Now, there are mediums out there designed for this specifically, but I think they have solvents in them. If you don't want solvents, walnut oil is a thin oil that I think helps with that. So that can be very useful. It's not so much a problem. The consistency of paint isn't nearly as much of a problem if you're painting large. Well, unless you're going like impasto or stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying, I hope. So one of the things I'm trying to do with this painting is I'm trying to take it to a finish, but there are areas that I on purpose am not actually going to finish. And well, I'm going to finish them eventually, but I'm not going to finish them right now. And the reason is I want to go in kind of at the end and put in like all the fun, you know, chunky, chunky marks and so on. And so it gives a bit of a like posterized effect kind of thing or vector kind of effect where things that normally would be very smooth end up with like really hard edges and very like blocky and so on. Um, and so I have to kind of plan for some of that, um, which is why some of the areas don't get finished immediately. So one of the biggest areas is this right here. Like this is going to go lighter, but instead of painting it in and smoothing it out and everything, I'm going to try putting in like a single mark to represent all of that. I have to kind of plan those marks in advance. A lot of what's it called? And I'm not even referring this to me, but if there's painters that you love that are like very, we'll call them expressive or um maybe I don't know if messy is the right word, but those painters who do a lot with like a single mark and you see like big strokes that do a lot and represent a lot, or that they use a lot of transparency and it looks very loose, and very like carefree and everything. A lot of that is deceptive. It's a lot of that is extremely slow. It's not quick, even though a lot of times it looks like they just put a mark down and we're like, it's good. It's very deceptive. It's very methodical. It's slow. They, make sure it's exactly in the right place because they know they're not going to touch it again. And even though I am not quite good at that, some of that stuff I try and do. However, I have the philosophy that I'll do it and I'll probably get it wrong and then I'll just do it again. It's not a big deal because I'm not I'm not that good to get it perfect the first time. And maybe I do get it perfect the first time. That's fine too. But it's also it also takes that pressure off. It's like, okay, if I don't get it perfect the first time, it's all right. It's not a big deal. I remember um I remember listening to, and I'm going to throw him under the bus here a little bit because I don't think it's worth hiding. He said it out loud on, on a thing, and it's I'm making a bigger deal of it than it is. One of my favorite painters, I really do love his artwork. Jeremy Mann. He did a video where he was talking. It was like a documentary video thing on him. Um, but one of the things he was talking there about, he was talking about his landscapes or cityscapes, I should say, rather. And he's talking about how like he has to hit the, he has to like put in like, I think he was talking about putting in like a tail light or something, and he has to like hit it exactly right the first time, otherwise it's ruined. And I mean, I guess, um, I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, it's his artwork, so it's how he feels. But you know, if you don't get it right the first time, it's all right. Scrape it off and do it again. It's not a big deal. I don't know why it needs to be a big deal. You know, uh, like I said, his artwork is his artwork. How he experiences it is how he experiences it. Personally, I'm just like, it's all right. Just scrape it off. It's not a big deal. I have a palette knife. I have a wiper tool. Scrape it off. Do it again. Sandra says, I heard somewhere that Sargent would like scrape down his entire painting and start over if he made a mistake. That's wild. I maybe. Yeah, I've heard that before, but I don't know. I don't know how true that is. Some of these things are exaggerated sometimes. I will say I did hear, and I have adopted this. I heard Sargent. Uh, who knows what dead people did? LOL. Yeah, well, for sure. Well, also scrape down his entire painting could be exaggerated, right? Like it could be like, oh my God, he scraped everything down. And you're like, yeah, he scraped everything down he did that day, but like a lot of the painting is still there because even though he was he's, praised as an alla prima painter, the reality is he painted over multiple sittings a lot of times. So it wasn't like all in one sitting. So maybe it was everything he did that sitting, who knows? But one of his students, I think, did describe how he paints the face, and I've actually incorporated this into my painting practice. Um, and not because Sargent did it. I'm like, oh, Sargent did it, so I must be the way to doing it. No, I learned it on my own, and I'm like, after hearing it, I tried, and I saw like the benefit to it. But he would do the eyes, supposedly he would do the eyes last. And the thinking there was if you get everything right, the eyes just kind of like fall into place, right? Um, and there's some truth to that. And I do kind of apply that. And what I mean by that is like, obviously the eyes are in here, but they're not done, right? And it's okay. Like if it's a waste of time for me to get the eyes right early on because if I get them right and then I need to move them, I just wasted a ton of time. If I need to adjust values or anything, it's a waste of time. So I'm going to get everything right and then I'm going to finish the eyes at the very, very end. I tend to save the eyes as a little treat. Yeah, yeah, that's a cool way of looking at it. A lot of I used to do this, and I know a lot of people do this, where it was they do the eyes first because the idea is if you get the eyes wrong, why even bother continuing it, right? But I'm on the side of I'm going to do everything, and then I'll get the eyes right at the end, and they'll be in the right place at the end because everything else is done, right? Like everything's done. So they're in the right place. And I just need to kind of finish them off. Like I said, I don't leave like hollow circles. But yeah. But yes, I know so many people who do the other where it's like, I got to get the eyes first, otherwise there's no point. Like I said, I that used to be me. That used to be me. So I'm not. That is no judgment to anybody if you do that. I just I've come to the conclusion personally that that's not as good of a practice as leaving the eyes to the end. Although I've seen painters who paint um, there are some painters out there who the way they paint is just wild to me. I'm just like, I don't understand how you do this at all. Like your process is baffling to me. Oh man, we all got different brains. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a painter, she actually painted Julia, or sorry, Julie at the, I think Julie, at the convention. Her name is Tina. Oh, what's her last name? Tina Garrett, I think it is. She's a painter. She's a really good painter. I'm not. This is like, and she's a good teacher. She teaches, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, our brains just function so differently. Because I look at how she paints, and I'm just like, this is not for me. And I almost hope she never watches me paint either, because I feel like she's going to look at how I paint and be horrified. Like, not that at the paintings at the end, I'm talking about purely, purely like the end result, not the end result, purely the process is what I'm referring to. Like, I feel like she's going to watch me paint and be like, that is absolutely horrifying. Don't ever teach anybody to do it that way, even though I know a lot of people who do it this way. I've learned from people who do it this way. But I get the feeling she's just going to be like aghast because of it's so different from her. Like when she was when I saw her painting, she takes a lot of time to set up all the all her paint mixtures, and she said something along the lines of like uh I forget what it was, like a big portion of the painting is done on the on the palette before it ever gets to the canvas. And I'm just like, she would hate what I'm doing, the way I mix paint. I will say, when I first started painting, I would mix a lot of mixtures prior to painting, because my brain couldn't handle doing everything at once. Um, you know, so I will say that, I mean, I don't think that's why she's doing it. To be clear, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, for me personally, I tried painting like this and I couldn't in the beginning. So I had to like mix everything prior to starting. But also part of that was I was using the wrong paint and the wrong brushes. That also contributed to that. And what I mean by that is like, if you use the wrong paint and you use the wrong brushes and the wrong mediums and you use it the wrong way, what will happen is, oh, let me rephrase that. What was happening to me and what could happen depending on what you're doing is it could feel like your paint um, swings wildly from one mixture, from one color to another, so you can't get nuance. And I felt like things were melting into non-existent. Like I'd put down paint and there wouldn't be anything there and it wouldn't make a difference at all. Stuff like that I've had happen. Um, and yeah, a lot of that was the wrong brushes, the wrong mediums, um, like thinning my paint down too much because I couldn't it wouldn't flow. I couldn't get it to move. My brushes were too soft, so I had to compensate. And my paint was student grade, so it was stiff, and it didn't hold up very well to that. And then I do think the pigments I was using, uh, actually, those were kind of okay. And then the big one is also just not having enough paint on my brush. That was always a problem for me. Well, like I said, part of that is the brushes and the mediums. So yeah, all those things influence it so much. I just graduated out of student grade paints. I did not expect that much of a difference. It's like night and day. It is. And you know, the surprising thing is, I don't feel, okay, two things. One, don't feel like artist paints are really that much more expensive. Like, I don't feel like you end up saving all that much with student paints, right? But it's also worth mentioning that I also am using a very limited palette. And if you're using my palette, you don't have a ton of paint to buy, right? It's five tubes of paint. That's it. And so one of them is on the expensive side, like on the expensive, you know, grade or whatever. You know, each company has it differently, but it's in the expensive category, I think, and the rest are in the like cheaper, not the cheapest, but cheaper categories. And it's not that bad. The paint I go through the most is titanium white. I go through that like like it's nothing. Everything else is I go through a lot slower. That's my palette, of course, you know. But yeah. And there are modifications that you can make to a lot of palettes to pick cheaper pigments. There are cheaper pigments out there that make a huge difference. There's just a few pigments that I feel like you can't cheap out on, right? Like the alternatives just are not as good. Actually, I think only one major one, and that's yellow. Um, I I really think that I don't think there's a good cheap yellow pigment out there. Unfortunately, I think that's the one problem one. You just bought some cobalt blue and it was twice as expensive as most of the others. Yeah, I bought cobalt teal and it was in a very expensive paint. It's also a very useless paint, unfortunately. I'm not saying, look, everyone's is different. What you like, you like. for me, in my palette, cobalt teal is an absolutely pointless paint. No, it's expensive because it's cobalt. Cobalt is a mineral that's expensive because it's used in a lot of other things that make a lot more money than paint. It's used in like, I think it's used in batteries for like Tesla, uh, you know, cars and stuff like that. So yeah, it's expensive. But yeah, I bought cobalt teal. It's a beautiful color. I love it. So useless. So useless like 99% of the time. So I can talk a little bit about my philosophy on paints because um, you know, my palette is very much a primary palette, and it is roughly the CMYK palette. It's not a perfect CMYK palette. There is no such thing as perfect CMYK palette. Also, the CMYK palettes that a lot of people um, like talk about online are flawed. Uh, am I open to better pigments and better paints? Absolutely. If you know a better paints and you're like, no, you should use these ones, check this one out, it's better. Great. Here's how I decide what pigments are better. Okay? This is important. How is one pigment better than another? Uh, there's a little bit of subjectiveness to this, right? Because if you like something, you like something. I'm not going to tell you don't use it because you don't, because you know, whatever, use whatever you like, uh, always, right? But to me, a pigment is the better a pigment is. So there's, okay, light fastness. I want my paint to be light fast, meaning permanent, um, and not to fade, right? And that's one thing. I don't want my paint to fade. So all of my paints are colors that will not fade, which is where yellow runs into some problems. And then the other thing is, for instance, I could put CAD red or CAD red light, on my palette. I have CAD red light. It used to be on my palette. It's not on my palette anymore because it's not a useful color. Why is it not useful? I can mix with these two colors nearly CAD red. Can I make it 100% match CAD red? No, I cannot. But unless I plan on using CAD red light, and so to be specific, CAD red light, if I plan on using CAD red light straight out of the tube, I can't replicate it. But if I plan on mixing it at all, it's pointless because I can basically mix it with these colors. The same for cyan, the same for blue, all the blues, same for browns, basically every color. I can mix every color with these colors, except for the very, very, very brightest, strongest colors out there. I can't mix those, but I can get very, very, very close. So unless I plan on using it straight out of the tube, it's pointless. An example, cobalt teal. I can make cobalt teal with these colors. Equivalent, right? Nearly. And as long as I end up mixing it into other paints, it will be pointless. And that's how I determine what are good and useful pigments. I used to use, what's it called? I used to use magenta, quinacridone magenta, but I realized I can take this rose down to magenta. I can't take magenta up to this rose without adding another pigment like CAD red light. With CAD red, I could bring it up, but then I have CAD red just to get to that place. Why even bother? That's my kind of feeling on pigments. That's why I try and get them down to the minimal, I guess the minimal amount that I need. And don't get me wrong, convenience colors are great. There's nothing wrong with that. And my palette definitely has some disadvantages. It's not a perfect palette. But as far as I know, until someone shows me otherwise, it has the widest gamma range, and it can make the most colors of any limited palette I've ever seen. So that's my kind of thought on, and that's why I chose the palette that I chose. And that's why I call certain pigments more or less useful. It's determined by those aspects. That's why cobalt teal is not a useful color to me. It's so pretty though. I bought a cobalt teal because I did a painting that was a that won an award for self-portraits. It's a color shift painting of myself, and I did use the cobalt teal in there. It was very useful. But I've also said this, if there's a color that you just love, that works for you, that you feel like is useful or whatever, like by all means, I'm not the paint police, you know. Just don't eat your paint, okay? That's it. Don't eat your paint and use whatever colors you want. That is actually one of the mottos of this channel is don't eat your paint. trying to think, what is the most expensive paint I bought? Cobalt teal is probably one of them, but I'm trying to think if my cobalt teal was more or less expensive than the Lake White I bought. Or was it Kremitz White? Anyways, just lead white, whichever one it is. I bought lead white, and I'm trying to remember which one was more expensive. For the record, I don't really use my lead white much, so titanium white I think is fine. I plan on testing out my lead white again, but I think I may have gotten a bad batch, I'll be honest. From what everybody has told me, I feel like I may have gotten a bad batch. Before I forget, and Michelle says, before I forget to mention it, oh, I'm teaching a class. Yes, it's called No Fear Painting. Uh, you can dive into portrait painting without the fear of messing up. It's 4 sessions live online workshop that starts June 22nd, and it's only $220. Yes, I forget to mention it occasionally. I need to just like every couple of every hour or so, just like like a little commercial, because all of you who are here watching, it's not for you, the like reiteration. People jump in and out of the stream constantly. You never know when someone's watching or not, and you never know when it's like their first time as well. So I think you all get it, but yeah. Okay, so here's an example of me using the wrong brush and it's hurting me in a way. I needed a very small detail and I could not, with this brush, I could not get it. Having said that, sometimes this is worth doing because and I know a lot of artists have a tendency of like really noodling away at our paintings and getting lost in the details. And you use a bigger brush that you can't get those details, it can be helpful. Now, not to say you can't get those details with this brush. I can. I'm going to. Just watch me. But you get it at a roundabout way. So the way I'm going to get these details is I'm going to overpaint and then paint back into it. I might have to do that a few times to get it 100% right. But yeah, that's how you can get those details with using a brush that's too large. And it's so I feel weird sometimes. Like I feel like I'm talking to artists, and a lot of artists I'm talking to know all of this stuff. So if I ever mention something that you already know, that's cool. I'm not talking to you then, because I don't know what everybody knows, and I'm just trying to fill time as well. Honestly, I'm sometimes just filling time. If we have a subject, I'll talk about it, but if I don't, I'm just trying to make YouTube stop flashing warning signs at me that there's no audio. It keeps warning me when there's no audio when because I'm not talking. Yeah. So now you know the behind the scenes you know aspects of this. But yeah, I never know who's watching, when they're watching, when someone's coming in. So that is all. One thing, I'm trying to remember where I learned this. I think I've heard this from multiple teachers, but one thing that I've heard many times is when you're doing transitions from one, you know, first of all, don't, it's not always just a pure mix of like the two colors. A lot of times there's some hue shifts as a transition happens, and it's better to mix that on the palette um, than it is to just kind of like fade between the two on the canvas because you can get those subtle variations if you make the choice when you're mixing it on the palette versus if you just like blend between the two colors on your canvas, you won't get those nuances. A lot of times when I need very, very sharp details stuff, my go-to is these little paint pushers because my brushes sometimes are frayed because I don't, because I use them a lot, and I don't what's it called? I don't retire them fast enough, and apparently I don't keep do a good job of keeping them, because some people are like, I have brushes from like my when I was a student, and I'm like, oh, I have brushes from like 6 months ago. They're clearly on their way out, so I don't know what you're doing. Clearly, I'm not doing that. But yeah, these little paint pusher thingies are great for those details. Actually, need to buy more of those. I'm going to buy probably a couple sets. They have um, they have them at different what's it called? Um, uh, Firmness. I want to try the different ones. Des says, I was just sorting through my brushes and throwing out some that were scraggly. It's worth keeping the scraggly ones, for effects and stuff like that. They can be useful, but it's worth like keeping them on the side, not so that you're not reaching for them. Although I do not like the um, Bob Ross way of painting, where he like uses certain brushes for effect. I generally don't like that, but it can be useful. It's not it's just something I don't I'm aware of, and I try not to, like, I'm conscious of it, and I feel like that is enough sometimes, um, to not fall into that trap all the time. Yeah. You said, yeah, you have some separated. Nice. Yeah, these paint movers or pushers or whatever they're called are very cheap. You'll see they all they when you can't see it, they have a tape around them because the thing was falling off. So they're very, very cheap. I'm going to buy slightly better ones hopefully soon. Next, what's it called? Next time I order from Jerry's, I'm getting new ones. The one art supply that I want to try more than any other at the moment is one that I can't try. I don't think I'll be able to try for a while, and that is oh, what is his name? Michael Harding. That's it. Michael Harding's Miracle Medium. Out of all the art supplies, that's the one I want to try the most right now. he didn't even have it at Portrait Society, so it's still like brand new and not available. Otherwise, he would have had it at the Portrait Society. Yeah. Yeah, I do wish, I've said this before, I wish I could do my entire painting with those paint movers. They're not, you just can't get the nuance sometimes that you need from them. But oh my God, talk about making life easy for cleanup, you know? The thought just kills me. Like I would love that so much. Oh, I was talking with Cody today from Sparrow Art Center and or is it Sparrow Art School? I'm so stupid. I can't remember that myself. Center, right? Center. Um, and he was talking about a student that he has that wants to take my course, but she was worried because she can't make it on Saturdays. That's like, for whatever reason, she can't make it on Saturdays. And he was asking, like, will she be able to get the benefit from it, even without being able to make it on time? And my plan is to record the sessions and have a Discord where people can ask questions. So as I told them, like, as long as she does the homework, it should be fine. So, you know, that's something I don't know how everybody feels about that. I know that being able to sit in on live sessions is always preferable, but I don't know, I don't feel like it's always required, especially if you can get personalized direct feedback in other ways. But I'm curious if anyone feels differently about that. Oh, this is a question actually I do want to ask everybody here. If you're in my Discord or if you're just in other Discords, I was going to do a Discord for the class, and I was debating if I should do a separate Discord for the class or should I just do a separated section in my Discord and only give those people permission to go there. And that way they can also participate in my Discord. Use my own Discord for sure. Thank you. I appreciate the, yeah, that's because originally I was like, I'll make a new Discord just for the class. But then I'm like, wait a second, if I make it in mine and separate it out, oh, they can participate in the, in my Discord and hang out and like meet people and whatnot. Yeah, great way to build community. Yeah, my Discord, you know what's funny is I know um is Cassandra, am I getting did I just get that wrong? I thought it was Cassandra. I know you from Susan Lyon's Discord where I was helping her set that up, but like my own Discord is pitiful. And the people there are great. I'm just not good at like making it into something. Um, Ironically. Michelle says using my own Discord less work and you can have them involved in a bit of Discord stuff. Yeah. Hey, oh, Cassandra, you're so welcome. I feel like you did most of the work, honestly. I didn't, I feel like you absolutely did most of the work. But I do appreciate it. I was just slammed at work that week. Like some weeks, it's less busy. Some weeks you got tight deadlines. And it was just like, oh, great. This is a week where I've got tight deadlines on everything. And I'm just like working my ass off. And then I want to help. I want to be, useful, but I was feeling it. And then you saw my cat named Dresden, and you're like, of course we got along. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. I missed Cassandra says, I was telling my partner how I'd randomly ended up with you making a Discord and how we just immediately got along. How nice that was. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, I know you'd said you wanted to do a call. Like I said, message me anytime. Um, yeah, I can do it tonight after stream, like late tonight, probably. But yeah, I'm a night owl too, so if you want, um, uh, don't be afraid of messaging me late at night. If I can't respond, I can't respond. It's not a big deal. I'm glad that's funny. You like Dresden, the Dresden Files too. Are you caught up on the books, by the way? Late would be good. Mostly just want to iron out rules before we forget. Yeah, you're not. Okay. You're like 2 books behind. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was as well. I'll say this, the last 2 books weren't my favorite, I'll be honest. Um, but I will say I'm hopeful for the future. Like it's one of those things where it's like they're not my favorite, but hopefully he's setting it up so that the future books are a lot better. I feel like he was dealing with a lot of baggage, and these 2 books have kind of cleared the way to move on to not new stuff necessarily, but just cleaned up a bit. Bit of housekeeping went on. That's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin anything for you. Oh, I'm sure lockdown times sound like they weren't the greatest for him. I actually didn't know that. He sounded like he was just honestly, it sounded like he didn't really want to write the books in the beginning at all. He was like, I feel like he moved on and felt like he doesn't really want to get back to that. Okay, you have to peel potatoes, Mother's Day dinner. Hey, no worries. Um, have a great Mother's Day and Mother's Day dinner. This part is giving me a hard time. Okay, I'm oh, Michelle saying we met him at a Comic-Con one year. Yeah. He was wonderful. Yeah, he was really nice. He was dressed up as Wolverine, if I remember correctly. He was in cosplay. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered correctly. Yep, he was in Wolverine cosplay to make it that much funner. Okay, I'm out of my red, so I need to take a break for a second and then put out some more red. Some back stretches. All right. Yeah, see, my red is Series 2, which is, if I'm not mistaken, Series 1 is the cheapest. Series 2 is, after that. So yeah, not the most expensive paint. My blue is series 2. It's my yellow that's series 4. Or series 6, depending on which one you get. Yeah, that's the expensive stuff right there, as far as the pigments go. All right. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to be talking, but sometimes I just start concentrating and forget to keep talking. I don't know why, but for some reason opening tubes of paint is a lot harder with gloves on than without them. That's just saying, I'm so tired I want a nap. I mean, you know, I don't want to be Captain Obvious here, but like, I guess nap. I don't know. I'm assuming there's a reason you can't nap. It's after 6 p.m. though, so if I nap, I'll be up really late. Aren't you going to be up really late anyways? I tried to go to bed early last night, by the way. It didn't work out. I ended up like not being able to sleep because of like uh indigestion, which is the most sad thing ever. But yeah, I actually tried to go to bed early last night. I went to bed early, I just couldn't sleep because I felt sick. Painting hair without actually going in and painting all the little strands is always challenging. Although so much more preferable than going in and painting every single hair. I don't know how people who do like ultra realism do that. I lose patience. All right. It's funny in some ways the painting has come along a lot in this 2.5 hours, and in some ways it's regressed. which is very, very normal. But I am feeling a bit tired today and I am hungry. And honestly, I feel like I need a break so that I don't mess this up anymore. So I'm going to get a cat and say goodbye with a cat, and then I'm going to end stream a little earlier than normal. I just, combined with like all the stuff going on right now, I need to kind of focus on everything. But let's get a cat. Oh, it's a Dresden. It is a Dresden. What's the baby boy was asleep and he's out of it. Oh, yeah. And before I go, I will make a last reminder. I do have a workshop happening starting June 22nd. Painting without fear on expressive painting and painting without fear of messing up. Basically painting in a similar style that I do. You don't have to paint like me. It's just I teach you the tools I use. It's a 4-week workshop on Saturdays for 220, along with homework and Discord stuff. Anyways, and Dresden thinks it's a good idea. Don't you, Dresden? Yeah. Aw, baby. Big yawn. Don't look, it's just you in there. You don't have to be afraid of the cat in the monitor. It's just you, little boy. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it all. Um, news to come. A lot of changes are coming up in the next couple of months. We'll see where things go. Thanks for all the support, and have a great one. Bye.